Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing this beautiful sparkly smoky eye. I really love the way that it turned out. I think it's just the combination of the gold and the copper just it just speaks to me. So if you guys want to see how I got this look, let's go. Good morning, party people. I'm gonna take this peach corrector by Cover FX and I'm going to use that first to mask some of this craziness that's happening under my eyes. I am just really tired. You know, nothing out of the ordinary. It's just it happens, right? I've always had dark circles though, so like the dark circles isn't anything that's foreign to me. I'm very familiar with them. I'm gonna just take this and just apply it right in the hollows of my eyes, so like this lower part. As you guys can see, it does wonders. I am going to hit the inner corner. We are going to use concealer today. I just want to make sure that we've corrected some of this craziness. I'm going to use this Cover FX Power Play Concealer in N60. I think I use G50 plus, but I wore this yesterday and I have to say that like I'm digging the shade. I think I would rather go neutral than golden. So I've been thinking about the holidays and what they're going to look like this year, and obviously with numbers rising in COVID cases, especially in Illinois, it's pretty clear that we won't be having a normal holiday season, and I'm just trying to think like what that looks like, because typically for me the holidays are really big. We'll have all of my cousins over and their families and my husband's family, which his family is significantly smaller than mine, but for as long as I can remember, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, everyone would get together. And as we've gotten older, the aunts and uncles don't really celebrate as much as like the cousins. So the numbers have gotten smaller, but regardless, I have a big family. I just keep thinking like what this year is gonna look like, how we'll celebrate, how realistically we probably all won't get together. It'll be small. I'm just taking a little bit more of this foundation, just building it here in my cheeks, which is where I like to see a little bit more coverage. The Power Play foundation, just in case you're not familiar with it, is a really beautiful matte foundation. I would say it's medium to full coverage. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a full coverage. I keep getting calls from like Iowa, that was Iowa, Nebraska, I've gotten Colorado. I'm getting calls from all over the US and it's crazy to me. I don't know who they are. They don't leave messages. Anyway, so it's a beautiful foundation, medium to full coverage. They have a ton of shade options and undertones, which is something that I really appreciate. It's not just your cool and your warm. You have neutral, cool, warm, and then within those tones you have also like olive undertones, pink undertones, peach undertones, so you can literally find a shade and get as close to your exact match as possible. I'm going to take G Medium 2 in the Cover FX Cover Play concealer, which she light, but we're going to make it work. I definitely prefer a peachy concealer versus this, but I corrected, so we're all good. So while that sets a little bit, I am going to take this MAC 24-hour eyeshadow primer, and at this point you guys can tell I am shopping my stash. To be honest with you guys, I wasn't really sure what I would be filming today, but I wanted to film. I've had a lot of fun playing with the Pat McGrath collection, and I have these Natasha Denona cream shadows, and I've been wanting to play with them, and I always, like whenever I get some downtime to just kind of play and get creative with it, I'm like, yeah, I like this, I'm gonna do it. And then it just turns out that I end up finding inspiration elsewhere and I don't use them. but I want to play with them. I do really like them. I think she did a beautiful job with these. Her first launch wasn't fantastic, and so I skipped it, but these were just very promising. All right, guys, we are back. So I'm going to take this Anastasia powder in banana, which, by the way, let me tell you guys, I'm actually pretty much done with it. I have very little left, and the goal is to use it up. So I really do like it, but I don't think it's a powder that I would repurchase because there's other powders that I have that I really love. This one I really like, but it's not one that I would repurchase because I would probably buy Fenty, Laura Mercier, the honey shade over this. And it's not that it's a bad powder, because honestly it's not. It's a good powder, but it's just I have other things I like better. Like, I'm not saying that this is a bad powder. I think if this is more within your price point, then I would say definitely get it, because it is a good powder, but I just have others that I like more. But it's not bad, and it has been featured in my favorites because it is good. But again, I have others. I have a pretty smooth work day today, which I'm excited about because I have been crazy busy, and I have only 2 meetings, and they're towards the end of the day, so I'll have a pretty steady day, and I'm super excited about that because I have so much work to do, and to have the flexibility of like getting things done, I'm excited. I'm going to take the Natasha Denona Gold palette, and I'm going to start off by taking Teak, which is this shade here, and I am going to dust this all over. I'm going to try and film Shop My Stash videos. Obviously, I probably won't film like the actual process of finding what I'm going to use, because honestly, I find inspiration in whatever I wear. So today I'm wearing, you know, like a orangey gold sweater, and I don't ever really wake up knowing what I'm gonna wear. Like, I typically just kind of decide as I'm going through my stuff. I want to start doing more of these like shop my stash videos, because I obviously have a lot of makeup, and I think that, again, I've said this before, but we get kind of lost in the hype of new releases, what's coming out, and we forget that we have gems in our collection already. So I want to start reconnecting with what I have and remembering how I felt about them. This was a palette that I really liked and was excited for. It's not even old, but of the Natasha Denona products or shadows that I have, this is probably the palette that I don't really go for often. I don't know why. It's so pretty. I think before I even think to grab this, I'm thinking Metropolis. They're very similar. I went a little too high here, so I'm just gonna take my finger and run that through, but it's not really moving. So I'm going to take a little bit of my pressed powder, and I'm just going to use that to buff these edges. I think I'm gonna have to take this shadow a little higher. So I'm gonna take a little bit more of Teak, and then just kind of even both of these eyes out. I'm going to take Sandstone, which is this shade here, and I am going to take a flat paddle shaped brush, and I'm going to use that just to pat this color. Ooh, look at that. On the outer corner. This is going to help with blending out the darker shade that we're going to place on the lid. And then I'm going to take that same fluffy brush we used and take that color and use that just around the edges to help soften the blend. And it looks like this. I'm going to take my powder brush and just dust this off. I'm going to go ahead and do my eyebrows, because at this point I need to see what we're working with. I am one of those people that I can place the crease color down and can get an idea, but once I have my brows on, then it gives me the direction I want to take my shadow in, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll come back and finish the eye look. All right, guys, I am back and ready to roll. So I've decided I'm going to do a wing liner, and I'm going to use Dose of Colors Extra Baggage, and it is just a chocolatey brown, and it looks wet because I've taken Eclat Durline just to freshen it up some. I was using it yesterday, it was a little dry. I'm going to do my wing. I'm going to try and do my wing on camera to show you guys, but I'm basically going to use my lower lid as my guide. I like to hold my lid from up here because I've told you guys I do have a little bit of a sagging situation going on. So for me, it's easier if I can just hold it so that I have a smooth line versus like one that's kind of choppy. So let's do this, or try to do this. Just take very small strokes, and that's where I'm going to create that line. The other thing is this does have a little bit of, it was a little coming down a little bit, so I just took my nail and then cleaned it up, and as you guys can see, it does just create a sharper line. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in, and I just take a 210 by MAC. It's my favorite liner brush. And I'm just going to run it as close to the lash line as possible. What sucks is whenever I'm filming, I've already had coffee and I drink Bustelo. And for those of you that don't know, it's hardcore. So sometimes I have a little bit of a shake, so I can't get a smooth, even line. I like to thicken the outer line just a little bit. I'm going to go back into my gel liner. The other thing too is whenever you're doing your liner, you want to make sure that your liner is smooth. If it's drying out, then you're going to get skipping. So at this point, I like to just kind of, as you see, I'm not going right from the top. I just kind of like to take from this point and then connect my lines, and then I'll work this back up to the very tip. That did not come out how I wanted it to, but we're gonna make it work. At this point, like I want to fix it off camera, but I'm gonna show you guys what I would do to fix this because the tail ended up being too thick. I'm just kind of looking at it and seeing where I need to clean it up some. I'm gonna take a clean brush and just move that liner. So as you guys can see, that looks so much better already. I'm just going to take a thin, clean brush and again, just kind of continue to thin out that line until I'm satisfied with how it looks. And then, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I need to go in with my foundation brush and just kind of clean it up some. And then take my liner brush and just add more of my wing. So there. I like the way this looks. Part of my problem today was that my liner, because I just used the Eclat Durline, was a little too thin. It was watery. So it made it a little difficult. But I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye off camera, and we'll come back to finish the rest of this look. But I did want to show you guys how I would fix a jacked up wing. And even now, I still want to redirect this line some. Alright guys, so this eye was super easy for me to do. This one, as you guys can tell, still looks a little messy. And it's because I removed some of the liner when I was cleaning it up. So I'm going to take my 210 with a little bit of foundation. And I'm just going to use that to do a really thin line of foundation. And then that's going to help clean up the lines. I could even do it here. But it's just going to create more precision, and it just makes everything look neater. So again, I'm just kind of cleaning my brush off, and I'm going to let that get just a little tacky because if I go in now, it's too watery to do anything with it. So I'm going to let that get tacky, and then I'm going to blend it, and I'll come back and you guys will see what that looks like. Alright guys, it's been probably like 2 minutes or so. Just enough time to give me some dry time. and also to just apply my primer on my lashes. I'm using the Giorgio Armani Eyes to Kill, which initially when I put it on, I'm like, why did I like this so much? But after like 2 days of using it, it does get a little drier, and so now I'm enjoying it. But it's one of those products that I have to wear my lash primer with, whereas with the Charlotte Tilbury, it was just that I didn't need to use my primer. So I'm going to go ahead and do a coat of this. And the only reason why I'm using a primer is because the Dior primer gives my lashes curl. So this mascara doesn't really do much for me other than it gives me like a natural effect. It also it separates, as you guys can see, it separates, and it gives me just a natural looking lash. It gives me very little volume, so I have very thin lashes. They're long, but they're thin. So for me to have a mascara that gives me length and volume, that's my jam. So in this case, I do have to build this up some, as you guys can tell. And the Dior primer does help in building up the thickness. So when I say volume, I mean thickness. Because again, I have length, I just have very thin hair. That's a story of my life. I am back. My son brought me earrings. He's probably like, step your accessory game up. Okay, so I'm gonna take Log, which is this shade here. And I'm going to use a 13 Refer brush, which is just a very small detail brush. And I'm going to start by applying it to this outer corner here, and then blending it inward. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm going to connect with the wing. So I want most of the pigment to be right at this inner corner here, and then whatever's left, I'm gonna blend. So I want it to be soft. Go ahead and just keep building up this corner until I like it. I'm just going in with whatever I still have left on my brush and just slightly blending that. So I'm gonna add a little bit of shimmer to this look. I think I'm gonna go in with Canva, which is this shade here. And with this, I'm going to use my finger and just press that on the lid. All right, guys, I had to take a quick break and feed my son. So now I'm going back in with Canva and just popping that on the lid with my finger. As you can see, it's a pretty light glitter. So pretty though. And I'm actually gonna layer it right over that liner also, just to kind of give it a little special touch, a little special twinkle, but just towards the center of the eye. So the inner and the center of the eye, and I'm gonna leave the rest as is. So I feel like this look needs a little bit more of a, I like the way it looks. I just feel like I would want to see a little bit more of like a bronzy shade on the lid. So I'm gonna take this shadow by, oh, fudgesicle. So the shadow I wanna use just shattered. Have it all over my hand, so I'm gonna clean it up. But it's NARS Stricken, and I'm gonna salvage it. I'm gonna take a Bodyography Blood. I'm gonna take this brush by Bodyography. It's a flat shader brush, and I'm going to dip into the shadow. I've wet the brush just because the shadow did crumble, and I wanna make sure that it's not messy. I'm going to take this shade and just pop it right in the center of the lid, and then blending it forward towards Canva. This is what I wanted. Just gave this look a little bit more of a sparkly bronzy finish, which is what I wanted. I felt like the gold is pretty, Canva is pretty, but I'm like, I want just something that's going to make it a little extra. And then I'm just taking a little bit more of that shadow and then applying it to the center, just to, again, give it a little bit more of a pop. I'm gonna take my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer in number 2, and I am just going to take this color and apply it all over. So looking at my eyes, I can see that I need to intensify Canva just a little bit to get it to match. Gosh, this color is so pretty. All right, guys, so this is what the eyes are looking like. I love, love, love the way that this turned out. I'm gonna go just take a little bit of the brush that I used to apply the bronzy shade and just kind of touch the edges of where Canva meets it, just to give it that really smooth blend. And then I'm going to take a clean brush. This is a 224 by MAC, and I'm just going to blend these edges out. Just when you think you're done blending, you're not. I'm going to take a little bit of my pressed powder again, and then I'm going to run this through the brow, also blending down into the shadows, because we're never done blending. You got to always blend, blend, blend. Gosh, I love the way that this shadow looks. For my blush, I'm going to use this NARS palette. And I am going to take these two shades and blend them together. As you guys can see, I'm placing the color kind of high and towards the back, and then just blending it forward and then blend it down. So really you want the most pigmentation kind of like where you would apply your highlighter, and then blend it down. Before we decide on the lip, I'm going to take this Cover FX High Performance Setting Spray. This is a little sample size. I used this yesterday and was super impressed by it, but the sprayer does leave little marks. So I recommend that you take your sponge. Anytime that you have marks left over from a setting spray, just take your sponge and go over it so you don't have these weird watermarks on your face. So as you guys can see, it's pretty much set. I'm going to take a small detail liner brush and some Evian spray, and I'm going to take that NARS shadow that shattered, and I'm going to use this to line my lower lash line. So instead of going in with like a dry shadow, which is what I would normally do, I'm just going to take this because I feel like I need a little something on the lower lash line. So this is what it looks like. I really like that it just gives a little twinkle to the under eye. So for my lips, I'm going to do a little bit of a drugstore mix. I'm going to take this Spice Lip Pencil by Milani and this lip gloss by Maybelline in Topaz. This is what the lip pencil looks like. I really love this combination, and I'm going to take the gloss. All right, guys, so here is your final look. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I do upload 3 videos a week. And like this video, it does help my channel. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you'd like to see for upcoming videos. If you guys have any questions, I'm definitely thinking I'm building on my back to basics tutorial. I'm thinking about doing a video on how to properly blend. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.